Okay, hi guys. So before we get into this video, I just want to say that this is not my most clear video ever. I was repeating myself a lot and trying to basically work through the things that I'm noticing about the whole David Dobrik situation that I think need to be critiqued. But I'm not articulating them as well as I think I am. I don't think so. I just I've been sitting with this for a couple days and it's not hitting me with the clarity that it normally does when I try to make these videos. So, you know, do the best you can to follow along and thank you for watching. Okay, bye. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while. I saw your comment. First of all, we reached 1,000 subscribers. We're a little bit past that now, but whoa. So thank you for 1,000 subscribers. That's really nice of y'all. I did leave a post in my community tab, just asking what videos you wanted to see, and I took notice of those. I hearted them, so I will be seeing if I want to do any of those videos. Thank you for the suggestions. What else? I will be starting a Patreon soon, for any of y'all who want to support, so that'll be up sometime. Don't ask me when, but it'll be up sometime. Absolutely. There's been a lot of things regarding Asian hate and just a lot of things going on. So I will be addressing those. I don't think it's going to be a really... Y'all know I'm tired. And I can't, if... I don't want to spend another 45 minutes yelling to the camera about groups of communities who are affected because of white supremacy. So we'll see what that video will look like, but I'm tired. So, but there probably will be a video talking about the anti-Asian hate. There'll probably be another video coming up about unnatural vegan, and it will be my last one. And just some other vegan things in that video. And then yeah, so I don't know. I'm still in school. I'm trying to, get my degree. The only reason I'm filming this is because it's spring break. We won. No, it's true. We did win. So I'm just going to do my best to post while the semester's still happening. But honestly, you probably won't get another video till the end, until I'm out of school. So... yeah, and I think that's it. I think that's all I have to say. So let's get into the video. Yes, God. Oh God. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about David Dobrik, and the next couple of sentences, words, paragraphs I say are all alleged. Let me repeat, alleged. One more time for the girlies in the back, alleged. Okay? So, don't come suing me. Thanks, babes. So, yeah. I'm going to be talking about David Dobrik. I'm not really going to be going into the history of the Vlog Squad. I'm not going to really be talking about the situation in the sense of, elaborating on everything that's happening. There are plenty of other channels to watch, like Amandab, Smoky Glow, who have made excellent videos on everything that's happening that give you all the detail. They've talked about the sexual assault. They've talked about how David Dobrik's attitudes and relationships with people of color and people with dwarfism, just minoritized groups in general. So I don't really feel a need to go on any type of talking story about that, and quite frankly that's not what I want this video to be. So really what I want to kind of address in today's video is how in an attempt to hold people accountable, a lot of people are allowing carcerality to pop up in the situation. And I think to understand where I'm coming from, I think it's important to go back to 2020, the summer 2020, when Black Lives Matter was at its height, And, what was inserted into the culture was this narrative of anti-carceral politics, abolitionist politics. We saw everybody on Twitter, TikTok, everything of the sort, having their BLM, fist in the bio with abolitionist or anti-carceral work somewhere painted in there. And so I think why I want to talk about this is because when I was looking through the response videos of everything being said, when I was looking through the discourse that was going on in relationship to David Dobrik, I was noticing that a lot of people who had espoused these kind of anti-carceral abolitionist politics, even though they claim that that's their politics, the anti-carceral lens that they claim to have isn't there in this situation. And this is not me trying to be oh, y'all are hypocritical and that's not what this video is. This is not me trying to excuse anybody's behavior. This is me more so trying to give an analysis of the things that I'm seeing and kind of bring something new into the discourse, because I haven't seen a lot of people kind of talking about this. Admittedly, I don't watch a lot of these videos because it's everyone kind of is on the same page. Usually when I watch 2 videos, I can usually predict that the 3rd and 4th video are going to be the same. So it's why am I going to spend more time watching more and more videos? But as far as I know, nobody's really been having this conversation, and so I wanted to bring it into the narrative. So what I've been noticing a lot in this video, in this discourse about David Dobrik, Dirty Dom, Jeff Wiedek, Todd, all these people, Trisha Paytas. While we're here, some of y'all are hyping up Trisha Paytas because she said one thing right. I really can't stress this enough. Trisha Paytas doing one thing right does not negate the resounding amount of things that she has done wrong. Guys, y'all are so quick to take anything that problematic people give you as a crumb or a reason to like them again. We got to work on that. But so anyways, what I've been noticing in this discourse surrounding David Dobrik is that there's been a lot of people kind of falling into the fundamental attribution era, which describes kind of a bias wherein people are more likely to see the actions of an individual and attribute those actions to individual characteristics or personality traits rather than understanding the situation or the social forces at play that are producing the outcomes that they're seeing. And so, I've watched a lot of people on Twitter, on YouTube, even on my Snapchat story. All the girls are getting involved in this. And people have been, kind of talking about the individual failings of these people, which ultimately results in people saying, these people need to be deplatformed. These people need to go to jail or experience some type of shaming or punishment. And it concerns me. Why? One, last year we had a whole conversation about how shaming people, punishing people, doing this kind of having this kind of carceral lens doesn't do anything. It's not effective. And how do we know that? Look at the world in which we live. We've had prisons, we've had more police funding, we've given people greater and greater punishment, we've done so many things that escalate punishment, and all the outcomes have been still leaving us in a cycle of abuse, of avoidance, of just a lot of things where people are not actually able to have substantial behavior change. People end up falling back into this way of existing that is abusive, that is unethical. And so, you would think with all of last year, with all this conversation about anti-carceral work, abolitionist work, all that kind of stuff, that we would be catching this, but I'm not seeing anybody. So because of that, because people are, doing this whole fundamental attribution error, I kind of just wanted to talk about why what is happening in this discourse is not going to work. And I think, and again, I'm sorry, I'm struggling to articulate this right now because I've watched so many videos and so many of this discourse come on, and there's just something about the discourse that doesn't set right with me. And this is my attempt of trying to, put my own like thought processes into the discourse. But I am like struggling to articulate what I really want to articulate. So hopefully I do that in this video. But anyways, so, we have conversation about cancel culture, y'all, if you saw my last video, you know how I feel about cancel culture. A lot of people are not approaching cancel culture from the lens of, anti-carceral kind of politics. A lot of people approach cancel culture in the way of like, they don't want to lose their fave white creator or, who's being sexist, misogynistic, racist, whatever the case may be. And so that's why they fight against cancel culture, not because they understand that anti-carceral work is fundamental if we want to break these cycles that we keep finding ourselves in. So it's not even necessarily cancel culture right now that I have the issue with. It's the discourse. So why this discourse, troubles me is we know that punishment doesn't work. We know that harsher sentencing doesn't work. We know that shaming doesn't work. We know that putting people in prison, may work, here and there. But like, as a whole, when we are looking at the outcomes of people in these systems, and these criminal legal systems and these carceral systems, the outcomes are not great. They don't do what they claim they do. Punishing people, shaming people, incarcerating people. What is being said in these discourses is to essentially push these people into out of community. That's really what's happening. Because when you're saying, let's break it down. When you are saying deplatform someone, what you're ultimately saying is they don't deserve to have a career anymore. They don't deserve to be operating on this platform. They don't deserve to be a part of this community anymore. And while I understand the notion of deplatforming, while I understand and even in a lot of ways agree with it, I'm not sure that is the best way to create behavior change. I don't think people losing out on their livelihoods, on things that they're passionate about is going to create the kind of behavior change that people think it will. I'm not sure of that. The other thing I've been seeing is people saying, well, jail these people up, lock them away for a long time, do all that kind of stuff. We know that harsher sentencing, longer sentencing does not actually improve outcomes. Does not actually, prevent interactions with the criminal legal system. Like, it doesn't do what it says it does. We know that shaming people and making people feel morally inferior, making people feel like there is something wrong with them and that they are a deficit and that kind of stuff does not actually allow people to work through these instances where they are being unethical or where they are doing things that are problematic. And so my concern in the discourse is that if we're actually trying to, I think what my ultimate concern is we spend so much time talking about accountability. People are talking about anti-carceral work. They're talking about defunding and abolishing the police. But somehow in the crux of all this discourse, we are still coming back to using carcerality as our only way of navigating how we think about justice. Like, and I understand to one degree that, like, as a society, and especially in the US, in a US context, like, we are not given anything outside of carcerality to understand justice. Justice is only given to us through carcerality. That is how we are socialized. We are socialized to see justice as carceral punishment, as state violence, as as a way of stripping people out of community. But on the other hand, we spent all this time having conversation about why that is not going to work, talking about the studies that we had looking at why longer sentencing isn't going to work, why pushing people out of community isn't going to work. And somehow there's this disconnect when we're having talks about accountability culture. Because ultimately, accountability culture, at least from what, I feel like is born out of anti-carceral work. It is not born out of perpetuating state violence. You know what I mean? And so I'm not here to tell victims or survivors, whatever you choose to label your experiences, but I'm not here to tell victims how they should go about doing anything. That's not my place, Avi. But what I am saying is that a lot of people are still trying to hold on to a carceral framework that we know is not going to change systems. And so we also have to have the conversation that, like, when we're having these talks about what it is that's going on, a lot of people will use biases like the horn effect or the halo effect. Horn effect describing how one single negative experience will paint somebody as a bad person, and the halo effect as a positive judgment, leading people to have a positive perception of that person as a whole. So I think in this situation, like, we see the Dirty Doms, we see the Jeff Whitticks, we see all these people, and we have this horrendous situation that's happening, and we're applying this horn effect, we're applying this bias, we're saying that this one event, this one trait, this one attribute, this one thing is now grounds for me to say that you're a bad person. And I hope that in this discourse, we're not forgetting that anybody can be a bad person. I think that in this discourse, the thing that I'm seeing a lot of is people love to play this moral superiority ground. People love to say that, like, this couldn't be me. This is not something I would do. This is not something I would succumb to. But I think ultimately what I'm trying to articulate is, like, this is systemic. Like, David Dobrik, Jeff Whittick, all these people are not doing these things because they are bad people. This dichotomy we paint of good and bad people is not realistic. It's not reality of the complexities of humans. It is a way of being able to create this line that we can use then to judge others and to create these stratifications between people and say, well, see, I'm a better person because I, saw this coming and I knew that this was happening and I never have done this or this or this or this or this. I've never done any of these bad things. So I can make these moral claims about people. But again, in a system, in a white supremacist system, in a system constructed to perpetuate, exploitation, to perpetuate unethical behavior, right? Because ultimately, David Dobrik, the way that he uses his friends, the way that he uses people is born out of a capitalism. It's born out of exploitative practices. It's born out of systems operated and functioning off of the exploitation of bodies. And so it's like, that's not the primary takeaway though. Like, people are still trying to get rid of this person, get rid of this person, get rid of this person, and not really tackling the part that these situations are going to occur again. These things happen in cyclical fashions, not because these people are necessarily bad, but because of social context, because of normative social influence, which describes the ways in which people will conform behavior to fit in with the group. So, and this is where I have my other problem in these conversations, is people want to shame, incarcerate, and punish so readily. But if we know that these ways of dealing with unethical behavior or problematic behavior of, horrific behavior are not effective and ultimately are more costly, because I think this is what it is. This notion that people have of incarcerating, punishing, and disconnecting people from community, the consequences of the current way we deal with violence, the current way we deal with systemic issues, the current way in which we deal with these things are through methods that are coercive, that are a threat to an individual's social standing, a threat to an individual's sense of community, a threat to an individual's, sense of connectedness. And we are social beings. So anything that threatens that is going to force people to hide away, to run from the wrongs and mistakes they've made, to fundamentally have to rationalize why they've done all these things, and come out with awful apology videos, David Dobrik, and have their friends come out with awful statements. What's his name? Scotty? I don't know. I don't care. Come out with awful, statements to try to justify everything that's happened, because the consequences, the punishments, the incarceration, the long sentencing, the risk of, especially things like because sexual assault would be put under the sex offender registry, is it not? But major consequences like that. The risk of telling the truth and owning the truth in these situations is far greater than lying and fighting with your breath to not admit anything. And I think that that's fundamentally where I have this problem. That's it. I think that in a rush for everyone to seek justice, they are falling into this trap of grabbing onto carcerality, using state violence, using punishment, shame, all these things that we know push people to have to essentially defend and rationalize themselves in order to be able to hold on to their autonomy. Ultimately, state violence, punishment, all these kind of things work as a coercive mechanism of controlling people, their actions and their behaviors. It's not born out of people actually working through these things, rectifying their harms, doing something like restorative justice, doing something that is fundamentally built around changing things for the better, if that makes sense. The ways in which people are describing what should happen to Dirty Dom, to David Dobrik, all these kind of things are not sustainable. And they are not going to address the culture that is created and maintained via white supremacy, via rape culture, via heteronormative standards, via it's not going to address those things. And so we're going to see situations like this happen again. We're going to see these problematic things occurring. And it's not going to do what the girls think it's going to do. And I think that that's really what I'm trying to get at here. Is people, had this notion in the summer that we should be stepping away from stepping away from carceral systems, from state violence, from all these kind of things. And then somehow that got lost, because I'm looking at this situation now with David Dobrik, and we're seeing people weaponize state violence, weaponize, shame and punishment as tools and mechanisms of coercion to get people to bend to certain behaviors, rather than understanding that at a fundamental level, if we are concerned about systemic change, widespread change, and sustainable change, not change in the short term to get in good standing in social conditions, not change in the short term to allow for that person to fit in with the group again, but change in terms of the ways in which people are operating and thinking. We have to, one, understand that we are only ever one thing away from being like the very people we are saying are bad or wrong. But then two, understanding that we can't keep falling back on carceral ways that we know don't actually change the behavior, because we can see, which is evidenced by our, cyclic continuum of never actually seeing the changes that we want to see. And I think that's it. I think that that's really what I wanted to get at, and I hope this video was useful. I hope this video like articulated what I really was trying to say. Of course, leave your comments down below. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. This discourse, it's just like we have these conversations about cancel culture, and when we're actually giving real critique about cancel culture, so talking about how cancel culture removes people from community, how it's based in carceral frameworks, how it's based in non-abolitionist ideas about the world, and how those ideas fundamentally, from the research, from even just lived experiences of most people, like we can see that these things are not working long term. Somehow we keep like not reckoning with that. We're not reckoning with the reality that like we are still trying to get justice by continuing to uphold systems that fundamentally are not about justice, but are about removing community, about creating this dichotomy of good and bad people, of fundamentally saying that these are the people in society who are moral. These are the people who are good and right and deserving and whatever. And these people did this harm, and now they're done. And they have to, jump through all these hoops to get into social standing. And then even then, after they've done all this, like, it's still not, like, I don't know. Just the discourse, I'm hearing a lot about prison. I'm hearing a lot about punishing, deplatforming. But I'm not seeing people recognize that, like, these people were created from our systems. And if we are truly concerned with changing the culture we've had, we can't keep falling back into this carceral politics. We can't keep relying on carcerality to get us to where we need to go. So I think I've repeated myself and tried to explain it as much as I can. So that's really it. This is definitely a shorter video, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave your comments down below. I want to hear people's takes on this. And if you're kind of noticing what I'm noticing, like something just isn't right in the discourse, like it's not addressing what it really needs to be addressed. Like we're still trying to individualize things when individuals live in a society. Like we live in a society. Like the consequences we keep seeing are because of maintained systems and these maintained dichotomies of good and bad people, right and wrong people. Like we're not reckoning that we can be the very people we are critiquing. Like, yeah. So, all right. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.